Welcome to Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast for the Rewind Show, where we look forward to looking back at some of the last times we played this weekend's upcoming opponents. Hello, my name is Craig Fimbo. Welcome back to the Blue Monday Rewind Show, where we look at the last time we played this weekend's forthcoming opponents in the top division and more matches from the not-so-distant past and potentially one from a little bit further in the past this time round. Everton, David Diamond, are they, as the lyrics would lead us to believe, a grand old team to play for?
And a grand old team to support. Well, they are. They're one of the. I mean, let's say one of the founder members, but one of these clubs, along with Arsenal, that have, I think, ever been relegated. Someone will shout at me and correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, have been perennial members of the old First Division in old money, and obviously the Premier League since its inauguration back in 1992. As we've said on the podcast previously, probably the last time we covered the home game, actually, flirted over the seasons quite heavily with relegation. But I think, as we said, it's like an unwritten law that there is no way Everton will get relegated, you know. So, and they've certainly, obviously, this season, they've certainly, one of the clubs, but up until they played us, probably going into the late autumn, actually, early winter, that we were thinking, oh yeah, you know, Wolves, Everton, you know, they're there with us. Yeah, we can finish above one of them, but no, change of manager, and they've pulled well away from that. But yeah, as you quite rightly said, a really grand old team, and with that in mind, I think their last but one home match at the grand old stadium that is Goodison.
Yeah, indeed. I think I think there's some very desperate Everton fans looking to get hold of tickets for their.
Oh, really?
If not the penultimate match, then certainly this. I think they've got Southampton after us, haven't they? A couple of weeks after that. So yeah, there's a bit of a scramble up there on the blue side of Merseyside. I think the red side's otherwise engaged at the moment, shall we say? Yeah. After the weekend. In terms of the matches, we're obviously going to chat about a couple of recent-ish Premier League games that we played up there. And as you're right to say, actually, Dave, whenever we flick up the tables from these matches that we've spoken about in the past, invariably, Everton aren't a million miles away from where we found ourselves in the table, are they, whenever we happen to stick these tables up? But, again, as you say, if you flicked up the final league table of the season, they're, if not 17th, they're 16th or 15th, aren't they?
Yeah, there was the famous one, wasn't it, back in... What season was that? Was that this again? Was that the 93-94 season, the Brian Steen, goal season, Mark Steen goal season, where I think Barry Horn scores an absolute worldie against. I think it's against Wimbledon, I believe.
Last game of the season.
Perry's one in the top corner, and that keeps them up pretty much on the final day. So, yeah, they've got history, but no, as you quite rightly said, a good old team within it was an amazing history going back 30, 40 years, back in the mid 80s under Howard Kendall. Brilliant.
Yeah. Perfect. As ever, please do comment with your own memories of these matches that we're going to take a look at, especially if you were there. And as ever, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, help us out, blah, blah, blah. Saturday, the 2nd of February, 2002, Dave. Now, quickly talk about the number one in the charts. We've had a little period of talking about this month or so recently, because it was only around about the Newcastle game and Will Young that we spoke about.
I'll tell you now, I've got Will Young and Gareth Gates. I've got nothing else.
Well, this guy, I'm going to give you a clue, and you'll get it from at least one, if not two, of the clues. He was the son of a former Real Madrid reserve team goalkeeper.
Okay. So
and no doubt, actually, his biggest success was arguably, being Anna Kournicova's boyfriend.
Oh, it's Enrique, isn't it? It's Enrique. Was it Hero? Is it called? Is that the one? Yeah, it's Enrique. Yeah. Yes, you certainly was Anna Kournicova's boyfriend, I seem to remember. Yeah.
And he deserves hero status, maybe.
Absolutely. I saw her fairly on play. No, I won't. I better not go into it. No, I saw her playing on a practice court in Wimbledon when she was top 10, top 20 player. So what was that? 20 years ago, probably. And all I can say is her playing on the practice court probably drew more attention than whatever was playing on the centre court that day. I seem to remember it was like fairly busy once word got out. But yeah, Enrique broke the Gareth and Will run at the top there.
He did. In terms of the cover star of the week, Dave, probably my favourite non-ITFC player, I'm going to suggest, in terms of my era of watching.
Player. I'm looking. I'm saying Gascoigne.
Yeah. There he is doing up a mascot. Might be his son, I don't know, but doing up a mascot's boots for him on the front of the.
What a talent! What a player! Yeah. Again, talk about sliding door. I know talking about Paul Gascoigne. Talk about sliding doors moments in certain players' careers. Crikey, you can pinpoint 3 or 4 with Gascoigne, can't you? Probably mostly the Spurs Forest Cup final in the tackle, but honestly, what a talent! Yeah, and everyone who played with in that era, pretty much everyone I've seen is 1 to 11. Yeah, Gascoigne, outstanding.
Proper 2-footed as well, as we like. In terms of the league table, Dave, we'd won 6 of our previous 7 league games. Although, having won 6 of our 7 previous league games, we still only found ourselves 2 points clear of safety.
We were rubbish up to that game at Tottenham, though, weren't we? We said that. I think it was 1 win in 14, wasn't it? And that was that Finidi George Derby stupid performance. Yeah, and then unfortunately, spoiler alert. Well, we've covered this before, haven't we? This season, I think this was after this game. Not giving anything away, I think it's fair to say we would come. We're going to fall back down to earth with an almighty bump. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll talk about it when we get the after league table on the screen after we've spoken about the match itself. And funnily enough, I was doing a bit of research on TWTD. They've got the match reports from when Phil started doing his bits and pieces. 23 years ago now.
Yeah.
And he mentions actually that, I'm going to quote Phil here, I'm sure he won't mind. Goodison Park these days is like a very large 3rd division ground, and the sooner they move, the better. So can he be described as being prescient 23 years before?
I don't think so. Oh, really? So obviously, I must admit, I didn't go to any of these games. I've been to Goodison before. We'll get to a game. I've been to Goodison before, and I'd say it was a great old ground. But perhaps again, it was like another one of these grounds that was just allowed to become ever so slightly run down, perhaps.
Yeah, but adding a bit of character at the same time. In terms of the lineups, George Burley kept faith with the same team that had beaten Fulham, but changed formation. We moved to 5 at the back, 3 centre halves, and that when we get the Everton team up, it may explain why we went to 3 centre halves. Alan Armstrong was keeping Marcus Stewart out of the team, and Andy Marshall was still in goal, keeping our friend Matteo Serrani out of the team. However, in the lead up to this match, Matteo had gone to the East Anglian Daily Times with his, he wanted to know, basically, I want a reason why I'm not playing, saying that, because if people remember, he requested to be rested, didn't he, for the FA Cup game, Dagenham,
wasn't it? Yeah.
That's right. So he was intimating that there was a slight bit of favouritism between Andy Marshall and Malcolm Webster, the goalkeeper coach.
I can remember that all kicking off. Well, I trust good old Elvin King put him straight, or wherever it would have been at the time. But we've looked at this. Yeah, we looked at this side before. Yeah, this was pretty much the side that started the run. Obviously, Finidi's not there at the moment, but that was the side that started that great run back against Spurs before Christmas.
I assume he was away on African nations. In fact, I'm pretty sure he would have been away on
Yes, it would have been. Nations. Good point.
In terms of Walter Smith's Everton, pretty standard 4-4-2. However, as I say, about the rough and tumble front 2 of Duncan Ferguson and Kevin Campbell, it may explain why we had 3 centre halves in there to try and cope with that.
I think there's a considerable physical presence there. I mean, Big Dunk would take care of 2 on his own, wouldn't he? For goodness' sake! And Kevin Campbell, God bless him, God rest him soul. Obviously, very sadly passed away earlier this year or late last year. Yeah, great player. And just looking at you've got Gascoigne. Admittedly, Gascoigne, you've seen the highlights of this game. He's still showing a little bit, but clearly he's lost that. He's past his best. And I think shortly was going to depart, or maybe at end of season, obviously going to go to Burnley, I think, is where he pretty much finished up most of his football over here, I think. I can't recall.
Played for Borough, didn't he, for a little bit?
He did. So would that have been? That'd have been prior to this, though, wouldn't it? That'd have been prior to this. So he, you've got. I mean, you've got some players there. Haven't you got Jesper Blomqvist, who was part of that. I think part of that Man United I'm sure he was part of that Man United treble-winning squad. Scott Gemmell,
quite a solid back four.
Yeah. Solid back four. Solid, pretty solid team. Did do some research on this. Managed by Walter Smith, who was going to get the old tin tack about a month later to be replaced by a certain David Moyes.
Where is he nowadays? So, and to be fair, this result may have assisted that decision because it ended up being a dramatic 2-1 victory for Ipswich Town, and quite an early lead we took in this one as well, didn't it? And a lovely goal.
What a goal this is. I forgot about this goal. Obviously, it comes flooding back when you watch back. You can see, obviously, the highlights on YouTube. What a finish. What technique for the finish. I mean, for one thing, the ball, I think it's Peralta that picks up the ball kind of about 30 yards out, spreads it wide. I think it's to Clapham. I think Clapham.
It is. Yeah.
And it's just a ball from Clapham because it's not like a chippy, floaty ball. He just drives it in low, doesn't he? I think to be fair, I think he's just looking to put it in a good area. I don't really think he's looking to necessarily be the best 1-2 of all time, but necessarily pick up Peralta. But Peralta has obviously followed his pass in the penalty area. Clapham's driven this ball in from the left. Technique for this, Craig, is something else. And it just opens himself up round about the penalty spot and side foots it into the top left. It's a hell of a goal. It's a brilliant goal.
Yeah, it is. It's a lovely goal. And you say about people would say about headers, you just use the pace on the ball he uses the pace on the cross here, doesn't he? As you say, to open himself up and just side foot direct it into the top corner.
It's an absolute cracker. However, might be even surpassed, spoiler alert.
Yes, it may be, yeah. So it's 1-0 after 10 minutes. It's 1-1 after 27. There's a Marshall bundles the aforementioned Kevin Campbell over.
Well, if the full runner of that, we said about the front two. I believe it was a long throw. Shock horror, I think, it was a flick on by Big Dunk, wasn't it? They're going for. You see that. It was a classic thing of the season before, or seasons before. It was a classic Richard Wright challenge. That one, wasn't it? Ball sort of. I think the ball sort of running across the 6-yard box. Marshall comes flying out, and Campbell perhaps a tiny bit rashly, and Campbell goes, "Oh yes, a penalty." He immediately makes a really good effort to save the penalty. Unsworth takes it, and obviously slams it left foot. He gets a pretty good hand to that. It's almost a really good save, but can't keep it out.
That's right. He wasn't a fan of the Panenka penalty, was he, David Unsworth?
No, he wasn't. No.
So 1-1 after 27 minutes, and actually it goes 2-1 before half time. Just literally a minute or two before half time, we have a free kick just outside the area, and a guy who's making his 201st consecutive league game appearance.
What a legend
for Town. Runs up. It's just touched to this fella, and he makes the most of it, doesn't he?
It's just we obviously spotted Matt Holland. He absolutely rifles it in from about 25 yards. I don't know about you, but I can't recall him. I can remember him scoring goals from outside the box. I can't recall him scoring free kicks like that. Can you?
No,
I really can't.
I don't. So he didn't really take direct free kick. Obviously this one was rolled to him, which he slammed in.
Obviously, looking at this, he wouldn't have got a sniff looking at the side. Magilton on the bench, so generally he wouldn't have got a sniff at that. Magilton would have had a go there, wouldn't he? No doubt about that. But it's, as you say, touch forward. He absolutely cracks it in the top right corner. A goal. Yeah, it probably is on a par with the Peralta goal. And as we said, the final game of the 8-game unbeaten run, 1-7, drew 1. That was going to come to a crashing end to Everton's noisy neighbours the following week. And also what I picked up on, Craig, was our 1,000th league win.
Well,
hey,
really? Yeah, good stuff. Good statting. Although only our 8th of the season. But as you say, Dave, we'd risen up to 12th in the league, 3 more precious points.
Got the goal difference back on track. 0 goal difference. I mean, look at it. We're just going to. And I don't know about you, but I can recall at the time there was, we're going to push for Europe. We're going to push for Europe, a proper European qualification.
We achieved it, but maybe not the way we wanted to. It's funny to say that again, referencing Phil Tilo. He actually says that how long before people start talking seriously about European aspirations. However, as you say, Dave, we were to play Liverpool next up, and a decent result against Liverpool, and who knows? As it was, we wouldn't win for another 10 matches.
That was with hindsight. That was the result. I think perhaps if we'd have played Liverpool and look at the side they had and had perhaps a narrow, more competitive defeat. Who knows? That the season might have turned out differently. But I just don't think we just never ever got over. I think we were just shell shocked, weren't we?
Yeah. So we didn't win another 10 games, and pretty much by the time we did, we were almost down. It's Borough's 3rd last game of the season. We only had Man U and Liverpool to go once we played Borough. So, the writing was pretty much on the wall.
Yeah, there were the 2 games, weren't there, Craig? There was the very next home game, which, again, we've covered, the Chris Marsden, bloody Lionel Messi goal. And and that's crazy. But when we're 4-0 down at half-time to Bolton, so we're going to Bolton, obviously one of our nearest challengers, probably our nearest challenger, to stay up and say, right, we get a win here, win it today. And half-time we're 4-0 down, weren't we?
Yes.
That did for us. Yeah.
It did, but it was a victory, and we're going to talk about another victory after a quick word from our sponsors.
Blue Monday is brought to you in partnership with Atwell Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for property and business law. Whether you're buying a home, starting a business, or just need legal guidance, our dedicated team has got you covered. Trust our award-winning customer service team to handle your legal matters with care and expertise. Find out more at atwells.com or visit us at our offices in Ipswich, Colchester, London, and our new location in Woodbridge.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Also, a quick word out to All About Hearing, Suffolk-based hearing care professionals. Help you out if you have any personal hearing needs. allabouthearing.co.uk. One-stop badges. Who, David Diamond, is the latest recipient of an Blue Monday enamel pin badge from One Stop Badges?
I saw it. It's our it's our manager, isn't it? It is. It was presented. I didn't witness this. I was there at the game yesterday. I didn't witness, but a certain Joe Fairs presented a certain Kieran McKenna with his Blue Monday podcast badge yesterday. Don't think Kieran was totally up with what was going on, but hey, I'm sure Joe said he was charming enough and acknowledged it and thanked us all for our support and stuff like that.
And it wasn't like a pin the tail on the doggy. He was aware that he was being provided with this badge. Joe didn't follow him.
Oh no, Joe didn't tag him with it
on his back. Yeah, that's right. So you can join the club and have a pin badge from One Stop Badges, just like Kieran McKenna.
Mullet made me laugh. I think he commented on the group this morning. He said, after he presented it, there was a nearby river and there was a plop heard. He's terrible.
He's terrible. Yeah, he is. Saturday, the 30th of September 2000. Very early on in our post-promotion season. Don't like this number one, Dave. It's just an American diva singing a British drummer's song.
I don't know. Go on, what is it?
It's Mariah Carey, Against All Odds.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, we don't. Yeah. Bah, meh.
In terms of the cover start, you're getting 4 for the price of 1 here, Dave.
Oh, got him.
3 Evertonians and 1 Ipswich Town player. Now, the Evertonians, one was a former Town loanee and Oldham goalkeeper.
All right. Okay. So that's Gerard, isn't it?
It is Paul Gerard,
not Stephen. Yeah.
One is a ginger Welsh midfielder signed from Benfica. I wouldn't go with the Benfica thing. I'd just go for a ginger Welsh midfielder playing for Everton at the time.
Looks and doesn't see anything. Looks and doesn't see
Pembridge.
No,
Pembridge.
Ginger Welsh. Mark
you
Pembridge.
just
Mark Pembridge down there's now. Yeah, go on. Yeah, Mark Pembridge. Yeah. Okay.
And the final one was a West End musical singer and sometime left back.
No, go on.
Michael Ball.
Oh, Michael Ball.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
And the Ipswich player was a failed Premier League striker, far inferior to Marcus Stewart.
Oh, obviously David Johnson.
It was, David Johnson. Yeah. So there we go. Michael Ball.
Paul Gerard. Wow, look at that.
Yeah, it's an interesting design, isn't it, for the
It is,
program?
Yeah, it is different.
It is different. Yeah. It's not Paul Gascoigne tying up a mascot's shoes.
It isn't. Fair play to Everton for different programme front designs.
Right, we had just drawn at home to Arsenal thanks to Marcus Stewart's shoulder, which we spoke about very recently on the Rewind show. And we'd found ourselves starting off the season very nicely. Thank you very much. Just nestled in there in mid-table.
Yeah, I think we were beginning to find our feet, weren't we?
Yeah, exactly that. In terms of the lineups, Titus Bramble was starting, Mark Venus was on the bench, and Richard Naylor was starting with both the aforementioned David Johnson and James Scowcroft on the bench. So Naylor had forced his way into the team.
I always thought, Naylor and Stewart was, as we'll see, were a pretty decent partnership, weren't they?
Well, they were a few months earlier at Wembley, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
In terms of the Everton team, again, a Walter Smith Everton team, a pretty solid team. Although they went five at the back, according to the reports. With Nicholas Anderson was playing right wing back, a little bit out of position. Their top scorer, Franny Jeffers, had been ruled out for 6 weeks, and as a result, Joe Max Moore from the US of A was playing up front.
I must admit, when I saw it was Moore, I had to do a bit of research on that one. Yeah, I would not have got that on the quiz question. Yeah, Joe Max Moore. Yeah,
who'd played 100 times for America.
Wow,
I know. Wow, I did exactly the same. I also Googled him and Wikipedia'd him, and
I had to. No, I didn't. I just wanted to get his name out. Joe, but no, Joe Max Moore. Yeah, I had no idea of that. I didn't wiki him. Blimey. Yeah.
So in terms of the match itself, this was probably, arguably one of the better performances, certainly one of the better results of what was a fantastic season in any case, but very much one of the highlights, Dave. A 3-0, very, very comfortable victory.
Yeah, it was. I mean, obviously, a couple of months after that, we were gonna win up there again against their red, noisy neighbours. But this was a great win.
And kicked off by a guy who wasn't born a million miles away from Everton's ground itself. I think a local boy, John McGreal, with a towering header.
What a header this is! I mean, it's a cross. It's a free kick. We've just said about Magilton and Matt Holland. It's a free kick from Magilton, absolutely sort of like bent in. And you're right. This is the definition of a towering header, isn't it? Absolutely gets above his man, sort of like on the angle of 6-yard box, and actually bullets it in the far corner. It's a brilliant goal. And then not known for his prolific goal scoring. So it was his first goal of the season, first goal for Town, first goal for 7 seasons, and only his second ever goal.
Yeah,
so there you go.
He wasn't signed for his goal scoring prowess.
I don't think so. Although he did score an own goal against us in a cup game, didn't he? I think I've got that right. I believe he did.
Shortly before we signed him, maybe, wasn't it?
Before we signed him, he did.
Shortly before, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was 1-0 at half time. But even when you look at the highlights of this match, you said before about Paul Gascoigne, who obviously played against us the following season. He started this match as well, and there were still glimpses and glances of the dancing feet of Paul Gascoigne. Those little slid through balls, weren't there, into the strikers?
I think there were more signs in this game. This was I think, as was the other one. This one might have been one of the league games on Match of the Day, so there's quite a bit of highlights on this one. And you kind of, not that you see all the game, not this and the game we've just covered, but yeah, he certainly seems a lot more Gascoigne than he was the following season.
Let's say 1-0 at half time, and then arguably our player of the season comes into his own, doesn't he, in the second half?
Well, do you know what? These two goals, I always think, if you sort of said, Alexa, describe me two Marcus Stewart goals. Now, these are they. I mean, it's just the first one is just what I mean. Like you say, it's easy, but what a lovely goal this is. I mean, it's pretty bad from Everton. I think Watson gives the ball blindly back straight to Naylor, wide down there, right, sort of halfway half. And this is so good from Naylor. He had more about him, Richard Naylor, and I think a lot of people credit. Really, he wasn't just some big battering ram. He could play, Richard Naylor, and he's taking this ball on his wrong foot, so left side. Takes a touch, gets probably back to an angle of 6-yard box outside the box, and just swings. Then just drives this left football across it. And the finish is just sublime. Stewart just a bit like the Peralta finish that we spoke about in the first game. He just arrives, uses the pace of the ball, just sweeps it, and it just swerves away just from Gerrard into the far corner. Yeah, I'd say that is just a lovely goal, wasn't it? Lovely finish, simple finish, only 6 yards out, but just clinical, absolutely clinical.
It's just the clinical and the timing of the run to be there at the right time, just as you say, to sweep it in first time. It's great striker's goal. But as you say about stereotypical Marcus Stewart goals, we've seen this goal against Bolton, and we were due to see this goal as you said before, at Anfield in a few weeks' time.
This is ridiculous, this one, because I think this is Unsworth this time. He gives a classic no-look back pass, doesn't he? So, and Stewart is obviously lurking. He's lurking there, straight to him. So, obviously, Gerrard comes rushing out. The ball's played back to Stewart, who's basically on his own, probably 1-on-1 on an angle. So he knocks it sort of beyond him once. And then Gerrard thinks he's going to shoot. But no, he dummies himself back. Gerrard goes flying past him. And then this is comical. I think it's Steve Watson then launches himself at it, thinking he's going to shoot. No, he drops his shoulder again. And he goes, see ya. He goes miles past it. And then it's a bit of comedy because then he sort of from literally, I think it's Weir on the line, isn't it? He sort of slams it towards goal from 6 yards. And to be fair, he gets lucky because Weir gets the block, but it just comes straight back to him. And I can only describe, he just toe pokes it in there. And he's like, okay, fine. I've had my fun. I'll just toe poke it in. And he does, just cold, wasn't he? Absolutely cold.
Yeah, and the fact that he had two Ipswich players to his left that he could have squared it to, didn't he? Couldn't he? But no chance.
Scorer. Absolute goal scorer. And obviously he'd scored off his shoulder the game before. This was the start of his great run, wasn't it? But honestly, those two goals, you could just cut and paste them as Marcus Stewart goals, really.
Yeah, 100%. In terms of 3-0 away at Everton, can't ask for much more than that. We found ourselves in 9th place after 8 games. Although at top of the league, Dave, Peter Taylor's Leicester were top with 16 points after 8 games, although only scoring 7 goals.
I would suggest they're not the most attractive. But just what a season! It absolutely incredible, wasn't it? Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I saw Leicester there. And this was a start. I think perhaps the next week or coming up, we were going to go away to and win at I think Bradford and games like that coming up. We were just picking up 3 points all the time. Very difficult to beat. Yeah.
But as you say, we'd found our feet, hadn't you? And now we just really did start to push on that season, didn't we? Just, as you say, picking up.
Do you know, I think we almost caught everyone cold, really. I think we were a bit of an unknown quantity. I mean, obviously we came up via the playoffs again. But I just think tactically, we bought well, didn't we? Bought, Jermaine Wright fitted in there absolutely brilliantly, absolutely superbly well, didn't he? and others. And Ryderson. I just think we had just a great balance. Well, a balanced side, but a really nice balanced squad, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Right, we're doing those two, and we're just going to allow Dave to go a little bit further back in the annals. But so 20 years before that was the last time we'd beaten Everton at Goodison. But in between times, we played them a few occasions in the top division. But and people, younger viewers and listeners, if we have any, may not understand that during the mid 80s, as you said right at the very beginning, Dave, Everton were winning the league, weren't they? They're winning the league and the Cup Winners' Cup and finishing, losing finalists in the FA Cup final for like 2 or 3 years on the trot.
Under Howard Kendall, incredible teams he built, under Howard Kendall, with some great, we said before, with some absolutely great players, and they were literally going nowhere. They'd really poor, early 80s again, probably flirted with relegation and really not going anywhere fast. And then Kendall comes in, and over the course of the next 4 or 5 seasons, mid 80s, probably mid to late 80s, probably just absolutely transformed them. They had brilliant teams.
Yeah, I had a quick look, and in 1985 when they won the top division for the first time, they won it by 13 points, so it wasn't a close. And that's the same year they won the Cup Winners' Cup, which is what now the Europa Conference, possibly, if you want an equivalent competition.
Oh, that was proper. Maybe. Yeah, they had some great players. I remember one of those games that season. I think it was a cup. We played them in the Cup quarter final in 80. Would have been 85, and we drew up there 2-2. I think they got a fairly last minute equaliser. And they had a player, Kevin Sheedy, played from left foot, absolutely velvet left foot. I remember him taking a free kick against us, and Paul Cooper was in goal, lined up the wall, curled it past Cooper in the top, so the top left-hand corner. And the ref said, no, Wall was encroaching, take it again, and just picks it up, chips it over the wall in the other corner. Superb. Yeah. But this particular game, this St. Giles, this is really what I talk about, because this is going all the way back. This is like 9th of February, 1980. Mm-hmm. And I must admit, I did indulge myself. I did look at this, Craig. I did check. That is in my sweet spot as far as music's concerned. And I'll bounce it to you. You might have looked. What was number one? Have you? I
know, but I've already done the. I'm not going to pretend I didn't look. So.
Yeah, I think I would have got this, but it is the great. Well, hopefully we're on the same page. I think it was a couple of days before, but I have got Too Much Too Young by the Specials. Is that what you? Yeah, I mean,
I have indeed. Yes.
What a time for music that was. Like I said, right in my sweet spot.
But what was after it then, Dave? Hold on. If we both already researched what was number one, what followed Too Much Too Young?
Do you know what? I think it could have been Kenny Rogers. Coward of the County, wasn't it? Yeah, I know.
It was.
Yeah.
Just to give you a little bit of variation about.
I mean, that was the charts. Then.
Variety,
talking about the chart. Yeah. And I think the number one before, another great song. The number one, I think, before the Specials might have been "Brass in Pocket" by the Pretenders. I mean, absolutely brilliant, superb music. But just getting back to this game, this was on the 9th of February, 1980, and Bobby Robson, and I know certain journalists described this as one of the great displays by the town in the whole of the Robson era. So we win 4-0. Goals were scored. The goals were scored by, I think Brazil got 2, Mariner got 1. But there's a certain goal by Eric Gates, and there's no TV footage of this game, none at all. And again, it's acknowledged as one of the great goals of the era. And I've spoken over the years. I've spoken to people. I wasn't there that day. I was there subsequently for a cup game a couple of 3 weeks later, but which we lost. But several players, and there are several friends that were there, and they said, honestly, David said it is not the best goals, one of the best goals I've ever seen anywhere. I mean, okay, we're talking 45 years ago, but it's scored by Eric Gates. And if you read the sort of like the report of this game, he plays a series of 3-1-2s through the Everton half, and which ends up with a ball with Gates about 20 yards out, rifling a ball into the top corner. And they said, look, if the cameras had been there, whether it had been BBC or ITV, unquestionably would have been up there with the goals, if not the goal of the season, up there with the goals of the season. But yeah, it was interesting. It was just one of those games back in the day where no cameras, wasn't covered for TV. So unfortunately, no footage of that goal or the display. But like I said, I was there I think it was about a month later for a cup quarter-final game. So you go there off the back of beating Man United 6-0 the week before, full of hope. But we unfortunately lose 2-1.
Yeah. Well, you say just a quick one about Eric Gates. We've spoken before, or we didn't cover the game, but the goal he scored at Liverpool at Anfield that is on YouTube, and he was a scorer of good goals on Merseyside. It's fair to say
that goal. I think the one he actually scored against Liverpool was, I think, goal of. I don't think it was goal of the season, but I think it might well have been goal of the month. He actually pings it in the top corner, doesn't he?
I'd like to see what was if it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, going back, this is me. So on the very same day that we played the cup quarter-final, where we lost, the goal of the season was scored that day. And perhaps if you remember this, and again, it's one of the great iconic goals, and it was scored by Terry McDermott at White Hart Lane against Spurs, where he's about literally, I've never seen a goal like, he's about 35 yards out. The ball gets cleared to him on an angle 35 yards out, and he basically chips it up and volleys it in the opposite top left corner. You remember? You remember that one? Probably.
Yeah,
you've seen it.
Yeah.
Oh man! So that was
a ball as heavy as a medicine ball as well, obviously.
Absolutely ridiculous goal. So that was scored that same day. That was the other cup quarterfinal. One of the other cup quarterfinals played that, because obviously they're all played shock horror on the same day.
Wow.
Yeah. So incredible stuff. Sorry, now I just really wanted to touch on that. No, and just looking quickly, I won't do the Everton team. Just quickly looking at the Ipswich side. Just really one change. Mills was injured, and Kevin Beattie came in and played at left back. And it was the 10th game of what was ultimately a winning run of 23. So, won 16 and draw 7. Yeah.
And I have actually got the league table for after the match. So I'll just, oh no, not that one. Sorry. Let me get it up here. After. Yes. So we'd found ourselves
Look at that.
5th. Yeah, but not too far away from the teams at the top.
And we but going back to, like, I'm sure maybe early November, we were bottom. Pretty much bottom. Just incredible run. Yeah.
And we'd finish 3rd and obviously grab a UEFA Cup spot on the back of it.
Yeah. Which, we all know what happened the next season. No, that's good memories. I had to pull that one up. So it's just good memories. And like I said, I think I've been there. I think I was there for a 1-0 defeat. That must have been early 80s. I can't remember. It's 2 or 3 years later. I can't remember. Maybe next season. I can't. Anyway, 81, 82 maybe. But I've only been there twice. But yeah, both times. Yeah, brilliant old ground. So I'm not going Saturday. So it'll be great for you're there Saturday. Yeah, great for you guys to sort of witness that. Yeah, one of the great old football grounds.
Yeah, exactly that. And make most of it while you can, because
definitely
it may not be there come the end of the summer. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Dave, as ever, for your memories and your insights into what ended up being 3 matches against Everton, 3 successful matches against Everton. You never know. We might add a 4th rather than lose 3-0 or 4-0.
You never know, and perhaps manage to keep 11 players intact on the pitch. You never know.
In terms of the next rewind show, I don't think Brentford at home are going to provide us with much coverage, to be fair. So we may not be back for that.
I'd be fairly, very, 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 very confident and say, yes, this is the first time we would have played Brentford at home in the top division. Absolutely, yes.
Although, we may be all right with Leicester away, but I'm sure we can talk about Robbie Savage for a little bit, falling around on the ground and talking about people getting sent off, getting our goalkeeper sent off.
Yeah, and I'm sure we certainly do Leicester away, definitely. And obviously finally finishing with West Ham at home.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Okay, so maybe you'll have a couple of weeks off from us, thanks to Brentford. But thank you for watching, as ever, listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. The guys will be back. I think it's Ben and Seb will be back on Thursday evening for pre-match, and then the flagship will be Sunday night as ever, talking about events at Goodison Park, hopefully positive events. And as I say, give us a couple of weeks and we'll be back to talk about Leicester. This has been the Rewind Show on Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. We will see you next time.